This is Short-Term Rental Management, the show that is all about short-term rental property management with your host, yours truly, Luke Carl.
Long-haired Luke, welcoming you to Short-Term Rental Management. So happy to be here. I'm very excited to be here. Just got off the road myself. Still on the road, as a matter of fact. Not in my office today. Well, in my office, but not in my normal office. And today we're going to talk about all sorts of stuff, but mostly we're going to cover the new Airbnb host success team that had a little get-together in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, which for those of you that don't know is the biggest short-term rental market in the world, according to Airbnb. And we're going to talk about that today after a word from our sponsor.
This episode of the Short Term Show is brought to you by The Short Term Shop. If you're interested in buying a short-term rental in one of the top vacation markets in America, just go to theshorttermshop.com and click Get Connected with an Agent. If you purchase a home with the shop, you'll have access to all of our client-only benefits, such as training on how to manage your short-term rental. So we'll teach you everything you need to know, from how to set up your Airbnb and Vrbo listings to how to use the property management software that you'll need to streamline your business, all the way down to helping you source your local boots on the ground like cleaners, handy people, etc. We've taught thousands of people just like you how to buy and manage their vacation homes from anywhere in the world. So head on over to theshorttermshop.com and click Get Connected with an Agent to get started. I do have to mention that we're brokered by EXP or else I get in trouble. We'll see you guys over there.
Great to be alive. Great to be here. Life is wonderful. And I'm fired up, man. I'm fired up. Went looking at alligators last night. And I'm in Mississippi, and it's where my lovely bride is from. And but before we get into all that, let me introduce Mr. Tim. We're both wearing Harley shirts. We both have Harleys and long hair, and we're both from the Midwest. And my brother from another. Tim, how you doing, buddy? I know you're on the road. Where the hell are you?
I'm doing great. I'm actually I'm on the road too. I'm in Texas. That's where my bride's family is from. So we're in Texas. We were in Gatlinburg 2 days ago and attended this little get together that Airbnb had. It was awesome, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for having me as always.
My pleasure. I was just in Texas as well. We just missed each other. We started our journey in Alabama, and then we went to Houston, Texas. My best buddy from way back in the day, bass player or guitar player in my first band ever, lives in Houston. So we went down there and saw them for a couple of days, and then we headed out west to New Mexico and Colorado, and then we made our way back to good old Mississippi. Which when I was growing up, what the hell's Mississippi? Is that a real place? You know,
the river. It's the river I grew up next to. That's what I know about Mississippi.
Well, I grew up on the other end of your state, to the other river.
You were really, really close to growing up in the great state of Iowa.
I'm very close, like 2 minutes. It
would have been even cooler.
Yeah. And I grew up on that other river, the Missouri, the other M State River, and literally like 5 minutes from it. And I never heard of it. Of course, now people from Mississippi are sitting there being like, dude, where the hell's Nebraska? You know, and I think that's probably even more common because, it is. It's a real place. It's right next to Iowa.
I get asked if I grew potatoes in Iowa. And I'm like, no, that's Idaho. Not Ohio either. It's Idaho, Iowa. Iowa with corn is where we're from.
Yeah, I always get Nebraska. And I'm like, yeah, it's a state. It became a state in 18 something. And you put your finger right on the middle. That's where I'm from, literally.
Absolutely.
So anyway.
So our trip's a little backwards. We're doing Alabama last. We did, we stopped in Arkansas, checked on a Harley down there. And then we came to Texas, and then we're actually going to Gulf Shores in a few days, check on our places there for a minute before the extreme, crazy summer going on. And then we'll head back to Tennessee.
Right. That's what it's all about. Avery and I set on this journey, and we stayed in short terms, and we'll do another show on that here in the near future. Some good stuff. I'll be honest, mostly bad stuff in my travels as far as the accommodations were concerned. Now, we did it we were very last minute this year. We didn't plan any. Last year we planned everything out and stayed, it was like an agenda. This year we said, you know what, let's just wing it. there were some downsides to that. We'll talk more about that later. Another thing I wanted to cover is do your damn job. Here's the tip of the week here at Short-Term Rental Management. I'm so sick and tired of people not showing up. I love everybody. God bless you. It's a difficult business. Sometimes it can be. Any business can be. But man, I've had an HVAC guy just totally blow me off, and I had a bathroom guy blow me off, tile guy blow me off, all within like one day. And I'm sitting here like, it's not that these guys, it's not that tile guys blow people off. Everybody's blowing everybody off. It's crazy.
It's a weird time, man.
All you got to do is answer your phone. All you got to do is answer your phone and show up, and you can make a good living. But what is with it, dude? I mean, I know you're going through it. You're doing rehabs all the time. Why don't these guys show up?
Dude, I go out to eat sometimes, and there's a sticker on the door that said we're closed because nobody showed up for work. I mean, that's a little extreme, but not really. It's tough out there with labor right now, and I don't really know. We're in a weird time.
I don't even know that it is a right now thing. I mean, yeah, there was. I remember I went to a Panera. And they had a sign that said shortage of people. And I went in, and sure enough, I couldn't get a damn salad, and it was annoying. But I mean, that was 2.5 years ago, and I don't know, man. I mean, maybe it's because I'm getting older or what. Or maybe I'm just finally noticing because I am dealing with so many people all the time now. But man, here's the tip. Answer your damn phone and show up, and you can make a good living, especially in a vacation town. We both live in vacation towns. These folks have been programmed to not give a shit. They don't show up. Oh, what are you going to do? Who else are you going to call? You're in Cincinnati. I'm on the beach. You need me. I don't need you. That's the vibe. So
I actually think that there's some opportunity, and I haven't quite nailed down how to do it, but I think, the people that aren't showing up are locals, and they're from there, and they've been, they're not like us,
That's true. Fine.
But I think, you go back 10 years and what we're doing didn't exist. They didn't have owners calling them from all over the country. They had the property managers calling them, and they had, it was a buddy system, and, and it was just a different vibe. And let's be honest, the level of service that we have to provide now as self-managers is a lot higher than what the old property managers had to. They could get away with a lot more, I hate to say get away. It was just different, and I think it might take a minute to catch up to like what this is. And quite frankly, it might take somebody stepping in to help educate and help, if you will, train, people like what's required to make these things click. And that is the contractors, so I don't know. That's just my little take on it. I'm pretty passionate about skilled labor and everything. That's where I came from. That's my roots. But I don't know. I've been kicking around like, how do I get into the schools and help teach kids how to run a business where, they're going to have to learn how to talk to people that are, states and thousands of miles away and service them, and it's just a different thing that they haven't had to do. And, how attitudes are. It's not necessarily bad. It's just old attitudes of they don't know how to deal with it. So anyway, that's a little maybe on a tangent of the specific to the vacation markets, but I think there's a little bit of that going on.
Well, towns in general. I hired a guy to do an HVAC job, and he did the easy part, which was the swap. And then we needed to do some duct work on two different properties at the same property, two different structures at the same property. And now he don't want anything to do with it. He's like, well, we should maybe go with a mini split on that house because blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, so we already did the big job, which was, it was like $24,000 or something for these units. And and now you don't want to do the duct job? Why the hell didn't I think of that? Because nobody wants a duct job.
That's a little bit different of a problem. And that is something that we're going to see a lot more of. And that's just a lack of skill. I mean, they may not know how.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that a bit, like you brought up mini splits, and they're great. And don't get me wrong, I've got them, but that has made things so much easier for certain instances that people aren't doing ductwork. They don't know how. And And I think we're going to see that a little bit. There's a lack of skilled labor. There's huge opportunity. This is something I'm passionate about. You can get me all fired up. We came to talk about something else, and we're going to go into this. But I think there's massive opportunity for, I say young people, but really anybody. If you want to learn a trade and make some dough, do it. I mean, you can make killer money in the trades, and that's where I came up. I ground my way through that, and it was fantastic to me, and I love it. I went through an apprenticeship program, and you go through an apprenticeship program. It's like they pay you to learn, and they pay you to do this, and it's fantastic. But there is a loss of some of these skills because a lot of people don't want to do that stuff anymore. And again, we're going to go down a path that I may need to calm down, but schools and stuff, they really promote other things other than the trades, and that there used to be shop class, and that's just kind of an old bygone thing, that isn't around anymore. So anyway,
we're living in this world, and it's okay. We'll tangent this. I don't even know. We don't need a topic. Who cares? But we're living in a world where, and again, I'm going to sound old, and I don't care, where it seems like a lot of folks think all they have to do is get a bunch of TikToks and Instagrams and make money doing that. Okay. And I think to a certain extent, it's working. And I had a dream. I may have already talked about this, but I had a dream where I hired a plumber, and I think it was a plumber. He came over to the house. He had a film crew. He had girls in bikinis. He had a camera crew. He came in. He tweaked like one little thing with a pipe wrench, and it was all over. He put it all over the internet, and it went viral. And then he left. And I paid him $300. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't give a crap. I do not give a crap. If this guy comes in here with CNN, and which is outdated to this guy's like, what's that? And the nightly news and whatever else, as long as he gets the job done, put it on the internet. I mean, don't put my address, I don't want you putting like,
no, I agree.
Put my toilet on the internet. That's fine. But just get the job done.
I don't have a problem with social media, and I actually think it's cool, and I actually think that's a great way to find people. I mean, again, Cole's old, whatever. That's how I found my tattoo guy, was Instagram, and you brought up not knowing what CNN is. Last night in Dallas, the news said there's going to be CD size hail, and all the kids around here said, "What's a CD?" So I thought that was funny, but.
Yeah, CD, as in compact disc. Yeah, we're back to records now, so that's cool. I mean, I like the old the vinyl. But hey, you want to be an influencer? Why can't we have the plumber influencer guy? You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's both. I think but they got to have the skill. At the end of the day, they got to be able to get the job done. How they promote the business. I mean, that's just it used to be the Yellow Pages, and now it's that. So that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But they got to have the skill. The Yellow Pages are gone, so they got to advertise somehow, and you went from that to, I remember back in the, when the internet got big, again, how we're old now, but you had to have a web page. If you didn't have a web page, you were an idiot. Now you don't have to have a web page, but you better have a TikTok, and so,
I think you're reading my mind. Here's the deal. Dude, you just totally got inside my brain. I equate it to back in the day when the website thing was hitting, and you got to the point where everybody's buying all these domain names, and it was almost to the point where, like, if you had, OrlandoPlumber.com, these folks just assumed they could make a bunch of money because they had the best website, the URL. But at the end of the day, if you don't have a kick-ass website and don't show up for your job on time, the domain name doesn't mean crap. And I think we're kind of getting to that point now, almost with this, again, I don't know. I'm a little old to be commenting on this. But with this influencer thing, it's like, okay, yeah, you were first to the space and you got the most TikTok, but are you doing your job? I mean, because at the end of the day, hard work is more important than any of that crap, Right. So
I think it's all boiled. You got to provide the service, period. I think we're in a transition of of advertising and marketing and reaching people, and it's cool. It's interesting to watch.
So let's talk about the Gatlinburg thing now. Airbnb got together and they started a team to help out hosts. I think it's a small thing at this point. I was unable to go, I was bummed about that. I was out of town, way out of town. And And you did go. So
yeah. So it's cool. And I think I'm going to try my best to share what they told me. And I want to disclaim up front, like I'm not affiliated with Airbnb at all. And I'm, doing my best to pass along what they told me. So it may not be, 100% perfect, but I'm doing my best here. But yeah, essentially kind of what they told us is they created a team. It's called the Host Success Team. And kind of the feedback I got was, the after some of the updates and stuff last year or so, the CEO has gotten a lot of feedback that hosts are unhappy. And so he created this Host Success Team, and he's having this team, like they're targeting people like under 100 listings, and actually way under 100. That at 100 listings, I guess you get an account representative or account manager from Airbnb. But there's tons, and most of their people don't have that. So they kind of targeted people with like, I forget, it was like 2 to 6 listings or something like that, and they want to put together content and try and help. And then also they were looking for feedback. So I asked a lot of questions, and it was pretty awesome. And they were like, basically they were brand new, and they were like, I said, are you guys doing this around the country? Are you on a tour? What is this? They're like, no, this is our biggest market. So we came here and we're kind of seeing where it goes. So they were really, basically the vibe was you went and checked in, and they had already, once they sent out an email, and once you said you were coming, they prepared. There's like a team of 6 or 8 people, and they had already looked at all of our listings, and they'd already looked at the back end of stuff that we can't see. And they were ready when we showed up to give us feedback on our listings to try and help, make us better. And then also they wanted feedback from the hosts. And so I thought it was fantastic that they're doing that. I think that's great. Airbnb is not perfect, but the fact that they're wanting to work with us, I think is fantastic. So anyway, they, like I said, we sat down and they kind of just went right into our listings and started, talking about, what we could do to be better. And, everybody that does this, everybody wants to know, how's the algorithm work? And that was my first questions is how's that algorithm work? And they gave us, obviously that's complicated, but they gave us kind of a Airbnb for dummies, version of what's important right now with the algorithm. And that's always subject to change. But, the biggest 3 things were pricing, quality, and popularity. Those are the 3 biggest categories that the algorithm is looking at, and then that's all like encompassed by availability. So all the feedback they gave us was kind of around all the basically 4 things: pricing, quality, popularity, and availability. So that we made some tweaks to our stuff, and so anyway, we can just walk through those real quick. How do you want to do this?
Yeah. No, totally. Which one stands out? I've got.
Yeah. So like I said, they had already looked at ours, and I'll be honest, you and I have talked about pricing, till it's, we would talk pricing to death, and
I love it.
And
this morning, I love it, man. It's part of the job.
They said we've got 6 listings with Airbnb, and they said not one of ours like flagged anything with a pricing problem. So I was pretty, patting myself in the back a little bit. They said your pricing looks fantastic, and then quality is it's your reviews, and there's no beating around the bush about what quality is. And same thing, our reviews were fantastic, and we had lots of them. And so their suggestions were do everything you can do to get lots of reviews and get good reviews. And this team was kind of interesting because these were not the same people that you talk to at all when you call into Airbnb. Not even, these were like, I'd say, I don't know if I want to use the word lead or upper level, these were, but anyway, they flat out said, there's no shame in asking for a review. They said, reach out by all means, which we do already, but we kind of asked about that. Is that a problem? Whatever. And they're like, no, absolutely. You need to do that. And then popularity, popularity is your clicks and your wish list additions and conversion rate and all that kind of stuff. And they said that is absolutely important as well. And so that, and I kind of asked, if you have like a ton of wish list ads, does that flag anything or is that bad? And they said, no, just that's fine. But
wait a minute. Don't gloss over that. What do you mean a ton of wish list? First of all, explain what a wish list is. You mean, the hearts?
Yeah, the hearts, the heart thing, and there's been chatter over the years of, if you have a bunch of hearts and not all converted into bookings, is that a problem? And cause that's kind of gone both ways. And they said that that's not an issue. They said more hearts, the better. But I don't really know for sure, but that's kind of what they told me. But they said popularity is absolutely a big category in the algorithm. And then
meaning just an absolute number of eyeballs on the property. Yeah,
clicks and people. Yes, exactly. And that kind of, they said that actually filtered back to, the way it's an intertwining thing. It's not like boom, boom, boom. It's like all these things kind of intertwine. So, reviews play back into that. If you have a lot of stays and not a lot of reviews, it's not good. Similarly to a bad review, so you want to get reviews as you're getting stays, like the percentage of reviews you get to stays matters. And another interesting tidbit, I'm kind of bouncing all over here, but on the reviews, we kind of talked about how we've gotten some bad reviews that we thought should get removed, and we were unsuccessful in getting them removed. And they were like ready to jump in and help. And then they're like, well, how long ago was that? And I said, it's been a while. And it'd been like 2 years, and they're like, okay, well, something else that they changed in the background is a bad review, they said, only hurts you in the algorithm for a year. After that, the words are still there, like the review is still there, but they said the fact that it was a low star, it's a 3-star, 4-star, 1-star, whatever, that only like stays into effect with the algorithm against you for a year. So I thought that was, that was an interesting little nugget. I thought it was kind of hurting you forever. Yeah, so that was that. And then availability was huge for me. That was the last big thing. And they said that kind of like circles around all those other 3 things is availability. And, our availability, we use price labs and we have rules. And so it's not a simple, our availability, the way we've had it set at 9 months out and then a 3-night minimum stay. And then in price labs, we had it set up to where once it gets like within 7 days, we dropped it to a 2-night stay. And no one-night stays at all. And
on what size property?
All of them. Honestly, our 1-bedroom all the way to 6. That's
no one-nighters on the 1-bedroom.
No, we haven't been. And so they said don't do anything that makes you uncomfortable. Don't go outside of what works for you. But the more available you are, the more it helps you in the algorithm. So I asked on like the far out, like, what do you like to see? Basically, they didn't say a year, but they basically said a year. They said, if you can do 12 months, that would help you fantastically. So I took that as 12 months meant something. So we changed our 9-month to 12-month. And then we actually changed all of our stuff to, we didn't allow 1-night stays across the board, but we changed, and I asked about the price lab rules, if that was okay. And they said, absolutely. And so we changed our price lab rules to, open up 1-night stays as it got close, and also within the orphan night category in price labs. So we're going to try that, for starters. And they were really pushing the insights tab. When you go into Airbnb and log into your page and stuff, there's an insights tab. And on the insights tab, it tells you all of your opportunities. And one of those is availability. I don't remember what it's called. It's called something like that in there, but it's basically availability. And it would actually show like where you have like possibilities of 1-night stays and stuff. And do you want to allow them with an Airbnb? And I asked her, I'm like, do I got to do it in there, or can I just do it in price labs? And that should eliminate it. And they said that was fine. And I checked it. I went and did it in the price labs, and I did a sync and refresh and all that. And it eliminated that in my insights tab. So it made it better. And, some of the stuff in the insights you may or may not want to do. One of the big things in insights is being pet friendly. It wants you to be pet friendly. It wants you to have an iron. It wants you to have a blow dryer, all that stuff. And so you got to pick and choose what works for you. You don't have to do anything, but they did elude that. That's that insights tab. They're looking for activity in there. Like, you need to get in there and be active in your insights. So that was a big part of it.
This episode is brought to you by Short-Term Rental Listing Advice. Join this Facebook group and post your listing to get advice from other hosts, including myself, on how you can improve your listing. Or just post your property so you can show off. Join us at strlistingadvice.com. That's strlistingadvice.com.
Well, let's touch on the pricing thing, because I'll be honest, I called you as soon as you got out of there. I said, well, what did they tell you? I just assume, we're so deep into this, like
Right.
what advice can they even offer us really, but
Right.
there was actually some pretty good ideas there. And so, I took all my properties and switched them to one night min for, like the gaps. And I raised the price on those gaps to like 45%. So now,
Right.
I got a big, beautiful house in Destin that I've never even considered renting this thing for one night. But I'm like, man, that's a pretty good idea. Just have it available at a price that's a little
Right.
higher than anybody's probably going to book it for. And hey, worst case scenario, maybe they do book it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then my cleaner's happy because she gets, more work that week, and she gets to work 2 days in a row. And assuming your cleaner likes to work, which
Honestly, I was going to do the exact same thing that you just said. And I was talking over with my wife, and she's like, do we care if they stay, like one night stay? And I'm like, you know what? No. So we just left it. We just
I almost don't care. It used to be like, oh, I can't have a one nighter in this big, beautiful house. They're going to trash the place. But now I just did it this morning, and I raised my price. I think I did 45%, 35% for weekdays or something like that. 45 on the weekends. It was just what I'm sure I'll change it again in 2 days. Don't quote me on that number, but I'm sitting there looking at my calendar on this house that I would never even dream to do a one night stay. And I'm like, if somebody booked that, I think I'd be totally cool to rent this thing for $1,500 for one night.
Yeah.
So that's
basically what they told me is if it's open or available, that the odds of it booking, I've got a big one too that sleeps 16 people. That the odds of that booking for one day are pretty slim. But why block it? What's it going to hurt? And then we kind of had to ask ourselves that a little bit. And it's just, I think it was a little bit of a stuck in the. You get stuck in old ways of doing stuff. That's just kind of the way it always was, type of thing. And
you can't do that. You can't do that in anything in life today. Especially in a techie kind of a business like this. What else did I do? Oh, I did the same thing. I usually do like a custom calendar where I'll do all future dates, and then I'll block my calendar based on like dates that I don't really want to deal with yet, kind of thing. And I until I had that conversation with you, I was available, I believe, until the end of April next spring. And I went in and I opened it up until November, second week in November 2024. So quite a bit more than a year in advance. And then I just did, increase on the price for far out dates. And I'm sitting there like, I don't know. I never did this before.
And anybody in there
again later, but
anybody out there using Price Labs, that's really easy to do. I'm not really prepared to show it, but basically you go into customizations and edit, and then it's actually under seasons. There's like a tab in there for like seasons. You click that, and then there's at the very bottom there's a little slider bar. You switch to far out dates, and you can basically add. You can pick a percentage base, which is what I did, and I just added. It's a little different property, but you add a percentage over your base price, and then you get to pick how many days out that applies to. So, if you want to be 180 days out or 200 days out or whatever you want out, and then it just bumps your prices up a little bit, but at least your calendar's open. So,
and if anybody's interested, I did 270 days, which is 9 months. And if my math is as good as it used to be. And I did weekdays 30% and weekends 45%,
And another thing I did there before I did that is I went through and we call them black lines, but I did manual overrides on all my holidays. So I went out and did a black line on all my holidays to make sure they were up even a little bit more. And I do manage those a little bit more manually, so I made sure my Christmas and Thanksgiving and everything were protected and Memorial Day, Labor Day, all that stuff. I made sure that you just go in, make sure you don't want to open it all up and then boom, somebody books Thanksgiving for $250 a night and it should be 600 or something, whatever,
Yeah,
So
I always used to manually, black line my holidays. I will say earlier this year, like first quarter, January, February, I did switch to the seasons for the first time. And I never did it before, basically just because I didn't want to deal with it. And I'm talking about customizations, edit seasonal, and then edit profile for custom seasonal profile. And I'll be honest, if you're on the fence about adding those seasons, now we're getting into Price Labs. But I don't know that it was worth it for me. I still go in there and change those like all the damn time. And so really kind of the black line almost kind of avoids a step. It's less buttons to push if you're doing the black line. And then it's also very obvious where the prices are coming from when you have that black line. I will say on the other side of the coin there, I'm going to contradict myself a bit. I don't like it when my calendar is like a ton of black lines. I feel like it gets a little cluttered and kind of, like almost like a little bit willy-nilly. Like who came up with this calendar system here? There's so many basically like Post-it notes on this calendar. What's the point?
I actually, when I get too many black lines, I start to question why I'm using price labs. But it's kind of like, why am I? So then it's like, okay, pull yourself back and like, do a revamp. And I usually do a little cleanup when it gets a little carried away. So
yeah, I agree. It's like, what's the point of this? I mean, I might as well. I could just do these manual prices on my management software and avoid price. I had to get my dog in the picture there. She's sleeping, but yeah. So that was a great tip, and I think I'll roll with that for a little while. I was joking this morning with my guys on my team, and I said, I'm going to come in here in 7 days and look at all these changes I just made and be like, what the hell was that? What was I? Was I drunk when I did this? What is all this stuff? But I do think it's brilliant. Having the one night available, it's almost like the $4,000 method, if anybody's familiar with that, which is chapter 10 from Avery's book, Short-Term Rental, Long-Term Wealth. Fantastic book. Make sure you check that out. Chapter 10, she talks about the $4,000 method. Basically the same thing for one-nighters. And the goal there is to be more available. Like if you're blocked for one night, you might as well just open it up. It makes it look like you have something available, and you might get a few more eyeballs looking at your property. I think that's brilliant. I don't know if it's going to work, but it's one thing I never thought of before. And thank you, Airbnb.
I just wanted to share. Yeah, I don't know either yet. It's time will tell. This was fresh like 2 days ago. And so I just wanted to be able to share a little bit of what they said. I think it's awesome when a company recognizes that people are unhappy and they try and do something about it. So I'm pretty fired up about that and excited. So kudos to the CEO a little bit for that. And, another thing I asked about, we're kind of, they're talking about quality and all this, and they kept bringing up Superhost. And I'm like, and I just kind of threw it out there. I'm like, look, I got to be blunt. Either it's the people I'm surrounded by are all fantastic, which kind of turned out to be the case, but or you guys just give Superhost to everybody, and it's just not that hard to get, because every time you see Superhost season come around, 1,000 people are posting on Facebook, I got my Superhost. And it's like, well, who isn't a Superhost? And they actually got pretty serious with me on that. They're like, you would be surprised how few people are actually Superhosts. And they said, if you have that many people around you that have it, then yeah, you're surrounded by a good group. And I actually am not surprised to hear that either. I think, all the training you provide, Luke, and everything that the team does, I think we do have a good group. I mean, for real. And I think you'll probably confirm this because you've been on a trip where you use a lot of Airbnb. And I shouldn't say a lot of Airbnb, a lot of short-term rentals. And I've kind of experienced that too. You get outside of our little bubble that we're in. We're in a bubble. Let's be real. I mean, everybody in our groups is part of our community, and this is all we're talking about all the time. And you get outside that bubble, and it does open your eyes a little bit that not everybody in the world runs their stuff like we do, So,
well, everybody does that. Everybody's in their bubble. Everybody's like so caught up in what they're doing all day, every day. They don't even realize that the rest of the world has no idea and doesn't care. But yeah, you're right. I mean, we are, you're talking about the cream of the crop here. Anybody listening to this podcast gives a crap, So, and I think at the end of the day, that's what's to take away from this is that there are a lot of people out there not doing as well as we are. I mean, yeah, I went through it firsthand. We stayed at a couple of them, and I was like, whoa. We stayed at one that the lady lived there and did not disclose that. We think she lived there. There was a lot of personal belongings. She had a drawer. Avery posted it and got 1 million hits on the Facebook there. There was a drawer full of condiments and it said, please don't touch. These are the owners.
In the refrigerator?
In the refrigerator. And I'm like, who does that? I mean, come on.
I've stayed in them before where there's, the closets are full of clothes and there's like laundry in the laundry basket under the bed,
Did they tell you though? Did they tell you? Because this one said she didn't.
No, I had one that didn't. And I mean, yes, they usually do, but I've had one that didn't. And I kind of go back to, that's kind of how this all got started. Airbnb, I mean, it started off as kind of a room sharing thing, or couch, not couch surfing, but kind of, yeah. And it's really grown into something, So, I mean, you go back again, not everybody has the same vibe that we do with it. So.
Yeah, and then we stayed in another one that it was pet friendly. We paid for our dog, and it was a teeny tiny little place. It was literally the last room in town. And it was a pretty cool building. You know, it was a little like a boutique hotel, I guess, or I really think it was probably built or functioned as a hostel at one point. It was definitely too small for our family. It was very cute though, but we had it was pet friendly. We had this one. She's tiny. Yeah. She's just like, I don't know, 6 pounds or something. And we got a message with the neighbors complaining about your dog, and we're like, what? I mean, she like, look at her. This is what she does all day, you know. And I'm like, how pet friendly is this place? Yeah, we ended up actually leaving that one because it was just not. It didn't work. You know, it was too small, and it was a lot of that was our fault. Again, the last minute stuff is more difficult, and that's something to take into consideration as an owner. Is your place last minute friendly? You know, right. We are so last minute right now, way more than we've ever been in history. And it's because the world has changed. I think people were so locked up for so long that now they're like losing their mind going wherever the hell they want to go. I mean, the economy's doing pretty well. I hate to get on that subject, but, you know, as far as the stock market and the Fed finally just did not raise interest rates. So I think there's some positivity going on out there as far as, you know, for the last 18 months, we've been kind of running scared a little bit. And I do think people are traveling like crazy. You know, I saw it on the morning news the other day. Everybody's traveling, but they have way more options than they did when they were stuck going to, you know, in their car, no airplanes, that kind of thing. I think we're gonna have some pendulum swing here, and I think you just nailed on some stuff. You know that I think is absolutely true. I think people are doing summer vacation for sure different this year. You know, the vast population is doing some. You know, cruises are way up. You know, cruises are open and Europe's open. You know, and so I think you're gonna have a little bit of summer vacation stuff that's gonna look different. You know, people are traveling to places that aren't necessarily our markets right now. But I think, you know, we're just going to have to be patient through that a minute. You know, all those places went through it during the pandemic where they didn't have nobody, you know, and I think that, you know, we're going to have that pendulum's going to come back to center at some point. You know, was that a year? Is that 2 years? Whatever it is. But I think right now, you know, pandemic went way over here. It went, you know, we went way over here. I think, and this, you know, it's going to come back to center, and we're going to have, you know, a lot of good times coming up. This isn't a 1 year business. You know, this is a gig. So, I think we're all just going to be patient with that a little bit and let it do what it does. You know, I mean, and while we're doing that, we all got to get better. You know, we all got to up our game. You know, if you're the best person out there, you're still going to get booked. So I think we all get better right now. And then when the pendulum does come back, we're all just going to be better, you know, and I'm excited for that. So, and I will say I am booked. I'm actually very booked. I have one property, just full disclosure. I got nothing to hide here. I have one property that the calendar is not as good as I would like it to be. You know, it's definitely in a weird way. It's like, wait a minute, I haven't had to look at this property's calendar in like 5 years.
You know, I'm kind of the same, and I have 6, like I said, and I have one that's weird, and it's the one I've had to look at the least over the last several years, and it's just weird, and it's my other ones are like. I think I ended up at 92 or 94% for June across 6, and some of them are at 100, you know, and the one is bringing it down a little bit, but and it's my smallest one in the Smokies, but it's coming along. It's like actually we just got a 5-day booking in June this morning for it, so I don't check the percentage after that. Maybe it's better now, but it's just very last minute, you know, to your point, and it's different, you know, and we got to get in there and do some work, and that's all there is to it. But my big places are slammed, which is kind of opposite of what, you know, things tend to be. But
we went through a 2-year period where you had to you couldn't get on an airplane, and everybody was losing their freaking mind. They didn't want to go to a hotel because there's people right next to you, and so a cabin in the mountains was the most popular thing on the planet. Okay,
I got to be honest. I think the hotels upped their game during that period,
big time. Dude, I'm staying in some hotels, and I'm like, damn. You know, we stayed at one on our travels, and it was a historic. You know, it was a 5-star. It was the nicest place we stayed by far on that trip. It had, you know, koi fish in the lobby, and it was pet friendly, and it was just a hotel. I'll shout them out, Hotel Zaza in Houston, fantastic. It was beautiful. Their customer service was second to none. Everybody was so nice, so friendly. And I was very pleased with my experience in that hotel. Now, again, this was not a motel set. I'll take that back. We did stay at a La Quinta, like a little one-nighter where we were basically just driving all freaking day for 9 hours with two kids screaming their heads off. And you just go until you can't go anymore and you find whatever. And even this place, we were kind of in like a little bit, maybe looked like kind of a sketchy area. And we pulled into this hotel and I was like, damn, this place looks pretty good. And it was, man, it had like brand new flooring. The beds were nice, so no complaints from me.
We did the same thing, like literally, I'm losing track of my days, like 2 days ago, Comfort Inn or something, and it was like a little bit sketchy, whatever, but the beds were fantastic. Everything, I was like, my wife and I were kind of like, I'm a little shocked at how nice it was, and you touched on something a couple times. I'm staring at old Wheezy back there, but pet friendly is another thing that I think is worth talking about a little bit. And you put up a post and I had an experience around the same time. Yeah. And I think that's huge. Now it's getting to be more and more of a thing. And I think if you're going to be pet friendly, that is not just checking a box. And if you are the one that just checks a box and charges more, you're not gonna, I don't know. I think that is an area where the competition is going to get upped and up. And I'm going to give a little shout out. I stayed actually in one of our agents' short-term rentals in another market that was pet friendly. I rented it from him, Joe. I rented one of his places and it was pet friendly. And I got to say, it was one of the nicest. Like, it wasn't just pet friendly. Like, you walked in and there was a jar with dog treats on the countertop. They had dog bowls. He had poop bags. He had a little station outside. It was actually pet friendly. It wasn't just pets allowed. It was pet friendly. And I'll tell you, that experience of walking in with all that, when you got a dog and you've been on the road and they've got water dishes right there and they're ready to go. And I don't know, it's just a nice touch, and it didn't cost him anything. I mean, he had $50 in it, or whatever, but it was, I think that's going to be more and more important if you decide to do that. Right now, we're not, I'm a dog lover all the way. We travel with our dog and our places are not pet friendly, but when and if we make that switch, I think it's important to really do it right, not just be pet, what I say, available versus
pet available. I forgot about that. Yeah, I posted a thing on our big Facebook group, Short-Term Rental, Long-Term Wealth. We'd love to have you join it. It's the biggest independently owned short-term Facebook group that exists, and it's a safe, happy place, unlike the internet can tend to be. So we checked. It was that same hotel in Houston. And they were like, "Oh, here's your dog stuff," and it was the same thing. They gave me a doggy bag, and then we had like a watering bowl, and the bags, and the treats, whole 9 yards. And I was like, "Damn!" And then I got in the elevator, and the guy was like, "Oh yeah, we brought our whatever, our boxer or whatever. I can't remember what he said, bulldog thing, and what's your dog's name?" And everybody was so happy and friendly and. Now it's not for me. I will say I've done pet friendly in the past, and I decided that maybe hey, who knows? That was years and years ago. Maybe I'll revisit it. Who knows? You can definitely make a couple more bucks there. It depends on where you're at in your career and what you want to deal with. And we're very family or pet oriented family. We've got too many of them, quite frankly. 3 dogs, a cat, and 4 cows. But.
I forgot about the cow.
Yeah. So, but anyway, and my point is, and the same thing on that post that I made, if you're going to be pet friendly, be pet friendly. I see too many folks that are like grumpy about it. Like, "Oh, you brought an extra dog. This is blah, 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 blah." Just be cool with it. Okay, you gave me my $40.
Here's the deal. Again, our competitors, you got to be aware of what your competitors are doing. Our competitors, these hotels are our competitors. And everything Hilton opened up to being pet friendly, so all your Hampton Inns, everything under the Hilton sphere is pet friendly now. And, so, and they're not charging per animal. They're not, they do charge, they do pay, they do charge a fee, which I think is fine. And, but again, you just gotta, if you get too, not mean or mad or whatever about it, whatever it is, mean, mad, whatever about it, people are going to choose something else that's easier. Make hard shit simple is my favorite saying. If you make it hard to book your place because of whatever, they're going to move on to the next thing. So
Yeah. I see too many people that are like, oh, dude, you snuck in an extra dog. Shame on you. I need another $100 because you snuck it in. This is blah, blah, blah. I mean, dude, just get over it. Just who has time to sit there and stare at that camera and wait for somebody to sneak in an extra dog? There's way better ways to spend your time. Why don't you go find a second job? Go drive Uber. Go drive an Uber to throw some more money on the fire to go buy your next property instead of sitting around waiting for somebody to break a rule. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Some of the things I see on the internet and people. And again, somebody will tell you I'm wrong, Luke. You can't bring in extra dogs, but dude, if you're pet friendly, be pet friendly. I mean,
No, I agree.
Extra friendly, super happy. Anyway, anything else? What else did we hit from the? Did we miss anything from the?
I guess the last thing, and this isn't really, I don't know how it might strike some conversation, but they asked for feedback, and one of the biggest pieces of feedback I gave them was the rating system. I mean, as we all know, as hosts, they expect a 5-star. 5 stars what they want, but they don't really give any kind of guideline to the guests as far as what 5-star means. And I told them that. I said, that's tough. I said, because it's different. The short-term rental market rating system is different than the hotel rating system. And the hotel has been around, a 5-star hotel is like top-notch luxury, top service, everything. And that's not necessarily what a 5-star rating at a short-term rental is. So anyway, they actually really got excited and brought extra people over to listen to me talk about that. And I'm like, I felt like, providing some sort of chart or something, like just telling guests, when you're leaving, rate the place. This is what a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, what it means. And I kind of told them, I said, I don't know if you guys know, but there's like a whole world out there where people are putting magnets on refrigerators and telling what they're, if it's a 1-star, the host should go to jail and that type of thing. And
well, tell us about the magnet. Yeah, just so in case you don't know, there's magnets. I think it was originally just some host that was doing it on Etsy, but now they're everywhere. And they say 5 stars, I had a great time. 4 stars, the place was kind of dirty, that kind of thing.
Right. And they almost said, well, that's actually sounds like a good idea. Maybe we should do that until we get our system figured out. But anyway, they were really interested and really that perked them up a lot when I brought that up. So I brought that up, and then I just kind of brought up the general, there's a stigma out there that Airbnb cares about guests more than hosts, and there's quite frankly, there's fear, with hosts of getting their listing stopped or paused or shut off, worst case scenario. And I brought all that stuff up, and they seemed very genuinely interested to hear that stuff, and they were vigorously taking notes. I'll put it that way. Now where that goes, I don't know. Brian hasn't called me from Airbnb, the CEO, have a one-on-one yet.
Hey, man, we're gonna go have beers.
That could be coming. I don't know. And but it was all in all, like I said, I was just thrilled. Anytime you hear about a CEO getting complaints and they do something about it.
Yeah, I love it.
That's great. And so I was appreciative, and I told them that I was greatly, and whenever I'll say if they ask you for feedback, don't be crappy about it. I mean, it's because they did say they had a lot of people came in that were almost screaming level mad when they started the meeting. And I don't think that's the way to be. I mean, we're using them, we choose to use them, and it's changed a lot of lives. It can be scary, and it can, you are at their mercy, but they also put out the dough to do this every day, so it's their business. They get to do it whatever they want with it. And
100%. 1,000% changed my life. I've been on Airbnb since day one, basically 2000. Well,
they asked me if I knew the guy that had the longest running Airbnb in the Smokies.
That's me. Yeah. Yeah. 2 of them, by the way.
I said yes. No,
there were people before me, but they're gone now.
They didn't really ask that. I was just stroking your ego a little bit there.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Now back to the review thing. I call that hotel syndrome. We were also talking about hotels where a guest leaves 4 stars, but they leave a great review, oh, we had a great time, 4 stars. I call that hotel syndrome because what they're doing is they're rating it like a hotel, and a 5-star
I brought up that
hotel,
exact thing.
Again, the 5-star hotels, what I was talking about, koi fish in the pond up, in the fountain at in the inside the entryway to the hotel, 6 people opening your door for you. Super kick-ass restaurant with room service, all that kind of, that's 5-star, put a mint on your pillow. And I think that's where people, occasionally you'll get that 4-star that has a great review, and you're like, what is this? What? How did this happen? And it's because they thought they were rating it based on a hotel, which they're not.
I brought up that exact scenario with him. I'm like, that is like the worst like feeling as a host. Like, oh man, like these people absolutely loved it, and they just didn't know. They just didn't know what to do, and they thought they were doing you a solid by leaving you a 4, and
hotel syndrome. And I don't think I got no problem kissing Airbnb's rear end. I don't think they're wrong. I think that the rating system should be more like Amazon. It's more than a hotel. Yes, the product we are offering is more like a hotel than a widget, a fidget spinner or whatever. But at the end of the day, this is, to me, I do feel that it's more like it's more modern. Like, let's rate this thing on a scale of 1 to 5, based on like, your Uber driver or your Amazon product. So I don't think Airbnb is making a mistake there. And you just touched on something
that goes all the way back to the beginning of this call. It's more modern, and it's the times are changing. Exactly. We started off with that with the trades and stuff, but things are different now, and it is more like Amazon or more like those Uber or whatever. It's just we're in a transitionary period where people don't know. They don't exactly go what you said. Going from a hotel to this, it's 2 different worlds. And how does my parents know that?
Well, I think that the hotels need to change it. They need to come out with some new system, because everything's got a 1 to 5-star review now. Yep. And the hotel star thing is living 20 years from 30 years in the past. So they need to come up with some new thing as opposed to 1 to 5-star. Because it's confusing as hell. I think that's the problem. It's the hotels that are the problem, and they need to fix that.
And they're in a weird spot too.
Restaurants, Michelin stars. It's the same thing. It's confusing as hell. Is this a 5? Because you can go to a McDonald's, and if they kick ass, they deserve 5 stars. You know what I mean? So it's a whole different world now.
Yep. So
I cut you off. You were saying something.
I don't know. I think we nailed it. We nailed it, Luke. We nailed it. I that's an interesting. You're right. I mean, it's I said like going the other way, but the hotels are behind, and frankly, the hotels, I think they might be caught in the middle, because on Yelp or Google, don't they want a 5-star? And they're getting rated all over the place. So it's just we're in a weird time. My ask was just like a little bit like when they send out the thing telling the guests to review, tell them what the expectation of the stars means. So.
There is a episode of a television program called Black Mirror, which is actually fantastic. It's been out for several years. I don't even know if it's around anymore. It came out in like 2016, and there is an episode of that program that has Ron Howard's daughter, and the episode is called Nosedive, if I'm correct. I think it's from the 3rd season, unless she's been in more than one episode. Anyway, it's all about reviews, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. I think it's a Nosedive from episode 3. But look for the one with Ron Howard's daughter. Anyway.
Another thing I just remembered. I don't want to
hold on. Let me finish that stupid thought.
Finish.
Go watch that episode of the Black Mirror television program with Ron Howard's daughter. And I hate that I don't know her name, because that's not her name. But it is fantastic, and it will make you feel better as a host, knowing that we're headed that way. I was at a truck stop bathroom. Okay, got her number off the bathroom wall the other day, and they had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 push button on the way out the door. Please rate our bathroom 1 to 5.
Wow.
On the way out the door, and everything's headed that way. It's 1 to 5 stars. I'm telling you, we're going to get to the point where somebody can take their phone right now. I can take my phone and point it at you, and your face is a QR code, and I can say 2 stars. I didn't like his jokes.
2 stars. Come on, man. That hurts.
I'm telling you, we're going that direction. And when it gets to that point, I'm quitting and I'm moving to the woods, man. I don't want to be here for that.
All right.
I cut you off again. Why did I cut you off again?
No, it's fine. Our brains are similar. Things pop in and you don't want to lose them. So I wrote it down. So this team, the host success team, it is new. And it is, I would say, keep an eye out for emails. If you are a host, they're going to be trying to poke emails out, and they're going to do some content. They're going to be doing some, I'm not sure exactly what they're going to be doing, but they said they're going to be putting out content trying to reach people on a bigger scale level than what they did here in Gatlinburg. So I don't know if that's going to work for everybody, but they did this, everybody that got invited to this meeting, in your notifications in Airbnb, if you go to insights and tips, I'm a shut all my notifications off person because I don't want to be bothered by all that junk that comes through. But anyway, in insights and tips under notifications, they said if you turn that on, any emails that come through insights and tips are now from this team. So if you want to get emails, I'd say I can't guarantee that's going to work for everybody, but that's what they did on my account. So if you want to give that a shot, but if you get emails from the host success team, that is a smaller group that is not the big corporate of everything Airbnb at this point. And this is, we're in June of 23. I want to put that out there. So, all this could change. I have no idea, what they're going to do with this team. But again, I was pretty fired up that they were making an effort. So I'm kind of here to promote that a little bit, and, so anyway, that's they said they're going to be putting out content, so I'm excited to see what they say. They said actually all the content's going to be the people we saw in that meeting. So it's just that team. Again, it only seemed like 6 or 8 people, but they're targeting people like us that are kind of the smaller operator, but kind of the meat and bones. And how do they get to us, and how do they help us and educate us on how Airbnb works on their end? So anyway, I'd just say look for it and keep your eyes open and always be learning.
Love it. Love it. We covered a lot of ground today. 2 road trips in progress, still in progress. And I don't know, some television programs and hotels and of course the host success team deal in Gatlinburg, which was great. Airbnb, we appreciate you for doing that. Love you. Thank you. And I had a great time. Oh, book suggestion. Are you reading anything right now? I've actually got 2 of them. Yeah,
you're going to have to go on that. I'm all over the place.
Okay, I am a bit all over the place. I actually, the one I'm on right now, I'll stick with just one, is a recommendation from Avery's podcast or a recent guest, Endurance, which is about a boat that was on it was supposed to be the first boat to go through the Antarctic, the Arctic, I don't know, down there. And they didn't make, the boat sank. I'm going to give it away. But it's really good. I don't normally get into anything that's not business related, but it's at least it's nonfiction. So it's definitely small.
I think I've told you this before, but I'm on a little bit of a personal journey. I'm trying to read the Bible from front to back this year. And so where I am right now is I just finished up Proverbs. Which anybody that's not a Bible reader, I think it's a fantastic thing to jump into. It's a lot of wisdom stuff, and it's almost one-liners, and it's an easy read. If you want to read one book of the Bible, I say the book of Proverbs has a lot of life lesson stuff that applies to everything, and so I just wrap that up, honestly. So
cool. Well, I appreciate you, and I hope people had some value today. We love you. Tim does sell houses. Let's plug some stuff. Tim sells houses. How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, if you want to buy, I'm in the Smokies, so it's Tim at the Short Term Shop. Pretty easy to get to. It's Tim at the shorttermshop.com. You got to throw that .com in there. It won't get to me, but that's my email. Feel free to reach out. And I own in the Smokies and Gulf Shores, but only licensed in Tennessee. And I live in Tennessee. I live right in the Smoky Mountains. I live in Wares Valley, which is an awesome place. I know Luke owns a place there.
Yep,
so
love it.
So anyway, yeah, feel free to reach out. I love talking about this stuff, even if you don't want to, if you're not ready to buy now, but you want to buy later, that's fine. But yeah, reach out.
Closing deals. But anyway, thanks for hanging with us. TheShortTermShop.com. I love you. Come back next Tuesday. And as always, short-term rental management saying, don't overthink it.